Chapter 78 Forest Massacre. Are you done? Unable to hold himself back, Li Fei hurriedly asked Han Li upon seeing him walking out from his residence. Han Li glared at Li Fei before walking to another smaller residence, closing the door, and coldly stating, "Crooked soul, come out. Tonight will all depend on you." Even before the sound of Han Li's voice faded away, a pang sound rang out. The wooden door was like a piece of paper, disintegrating into dust as the shadow of a huge body walked out. Both of Li Fei's eyes somewhat straightened as he froze. He gazed at the huge giant in front of him that was emitting a demonic aura. However, a hood was wrapped around its head, obscuring its features. The huge giant silently walked behind Han Li. "Let's go." Han Li smiled. Now, it was his turn to urge Li Fei along. "Oh!" Li Fei gasped, as if he just awoken from shock. He had a strange expression as he gazed from Han Li to the giant before closing his mouth and silently leading the way out of the valley. Han Li stared at the back of Li Fei and he snickered before walking faster, catching up with his friend. The giant Crooked Soul followed closely behind. Han Li was extremely pleased with Li Fei's discreetness. This was because the both of them had mutual respect of their privacy. This was also one of the reasons why they became such close friends. Their walking speed was extremely quick, and in the blink of an eye, they had already arrived at the entrance of the valley. Just as Li Fei raised his leg to step into the forest, Han Li abruptly extended his right hand and caught Li Fei's shoulder, stopping him from moving any further. "What are you doing?" Li Fei asked, bewildered and dissatisfied. One must know that his heart was very anxious, akin to a raging fire. "There's someone coming, and there's more than just one of them," Han Li gently explained. Li Fei was shocked and immediately focused his senses to listen, but even after a long while, there was nothing to be heard. Suspicion apparent in his eyes, he stared at Han Li, but Han Li disregarded his gaze and did not provide an explanation to him. "You." Just as Li Fei opened his mouth, Han Li abruptly raised a finger, placing it upon his lips and signaling for Li Fei's silence. Li Fei furrowed his brows. Although he was extremely unwilling, because of force of habit, he decided to listen to Han Li and stayed silent. Quite a while passed by. This time around, Li Fei's expression grew heavy as he turned his head in amazement to gaze at Han Li. He had finally heard the sound of many footsteps ringing out. It seemed like there truly was a group of people. Enforcer Sun. Beside this forest, there's both a huge bell-shaped valley and a small road. Seems like this is the God Hand Valley that the Vice Commander informed us of. A brash-sounding voice rang out from the direction of the forest. Right. According to the map and this huge bell-shaped valley, there's no mistake. This is the place. You all better remember, the commander has issued an absolute order. We are to abduct the divine doctor alive. No one is allowed to hurt him, otherwise, that person will be dealt with according to rules of the game. Understood? Another sharp-sounding voice rang out, akin to that of a mother hen commanding her little chicks. Yes. Yes. A series of confirmations sounded out at the same moment, and judging from the voices that replied out loud, there should have been over 10 people. Their breath control seemed pretty strong, making them all seem like martial arts experts. Other than that blue-robed enforcer, the rest of the feral wolf gang are all elites. The blue-robed enforcer is akin to the protectors from our sect, while the elites were akin to the inner disciples, Li Fei mumbled in a low voice, explaining to Han Li. Li Fei knew that his good friend had never once shown the inclination to care about their sex matters, so he couldn't be bothered to continue asking Han Li how he was able to notice the sound of the footsteps that far away. Instead, he opted to use the time to explain the situation and what their identities were to Han Li, intending to warn Han Li not to be careless. The moment Han Li heard Li Fei speak, he instantly understood what Li Fei was trying to convey. He lightly smiled and said nothing. From the look on his face, it appeared that Han Li was extremely unconcerned. Li Fei was growing increasingly more anxious. Based on my current strength, there's no way to clash directly in a one-on-one fight with that blue-robed enforcer, not to mention their elites surrounding him. I know that you would usually have a lot of cunning plans, so quickly list whatever ideas you have. If not, it will soon be too late to take action. Li Feiyu's sentence was enunciated extremely quickly because the group of people had already entered into the forest and started to walk towards them. If not, let us temporarily hide first, evading the vanguard of our enemies. Li Feiyu suggested a seemingly excellent idea, but what was lamentable to Li Feiyu was that Han Li had no intention to heed his advice. Crooked soul, other than that blue-robed enforcer, I want you to annihilate everyone in that forest. Han Li turned his head, looking at the giant man as he commanded in a cold tone. What? Li Feiyu was thunderstruck after he heard the words that Han Li had uttered. But even before he recovered, that huge giant behind Han Li moved with the speed of a hurricane, rapidly dashing away in the pitch-dark forest. Almost immediately, the voices of the feral wolf gang members cried out. Ayya! Ah! Who is it? Shit, there's an ambush. This. What is this monster? Arg! Run, quickly! Arg! Mournful cries of shock rang out in the forest, turning into a cacophony of miserable shrieks before they slowly faded away. Before long, there was only silence. Li Feiyu blankly stared in the direction of the forest with a face full of disbelief.